Our third speaker is also speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual. He's delivering speech number 3. He is our resident district attorney. He's going to speak about the age of our fathers, and his objective in this manual speech is getting to the point. So please welcome Jim Burlison and the age of our fathers. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Well, Father's Day is on Sunday, and 4th of July is fast approaching, so I thought I'd tie the two together and speak about fathers in the sense of the founding fathers, and specifically the founding fathers, the 56 founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence. I want to tell you, specifically tell you a little bit about what they did, who they were, and what happened to them. And just for fun, and that's if you want to participate, I'd like each of you to write down on a piece of paper what you think the average age was of the 56 founding fathers in 1776, on July 4th, 1776. And I'd also like you to write down what you think the average age was of the founding fathers at the time of their death. And at the end of the speech, after the speech is over, I'll tell you the answer, and then you guys can compare it to see who came the closest. And you might want to listen up close to the speech, because there may be a few things there that might change your opinion. So basically, I want to turn your attention to 1776, and I know what you're thinking. I wasn't there. Well, I can't speak for Fred. But the Revolutionary War had started in April of 1775 with Lexington and Concord, and in May of 75 they had the Second Continental Congress had convened, and they tried to make some overtures to try to settle the matter and reconcile. And there was an olive branch petition, but that didn't really work out. So on June 7th of 1776, Richard Henry Lee of Virginia introduced a resolution in the Continental Congress urging that declaration be declared. And on June 11th, a committee of 5 was appointed to draft a declaration. And they selected Thomas Jefferson of Virginia to write the declaration himself. So he did a draft, and on June 28th, that draft was read to the Continental Congress, and they debated between July 1st and July 4th. Now, on July 2nd is actually the date that the Continental Congress voted for independence, not July 4th. It was actually July 2nd. Then on July 4th, on the morning of July 4th, they voted to adopt the language that Thomas Jefferson had used in the draft, and that's the declaration that we now have. Now, on that evening, and that was done in the Assembly Hall at the Pennsylvania State Building. That's now called Independence Hall, and I don't know, any of you high rollers have $100 bills. If you look in the back of it, you'll see the picture of Independence Hall. That evening, they printed 200 copies. A printer named John Dunlap, they called that the Dunlap broadside, and they circulated that around. And one of the myths of the 4th of July is that all those signers signed that day. Well, actually, only one person signed that day. That was the president of the Constitutional Convention. That was John Hancock. And that's why you have that, you might have heard that phrase, put your John Hancock on it as a substitute for signature. And later on, they put up into a parchment. Somebody wrote up on a parchment form a more fancy version, and that was signed by most of the other members on August 2nd. And then a couple other stragglers signed it a few months later. So we finally got 56 signers. So the question is, who are these 56 signers? Well, they were all members of the Continental Congress. They were very well educated, pretty well off financially. And of the 56 signers, they had a lot of some of them had dual occupations. And of the 56 signers, 25 of them were attorneys. So you can understand why we're such a litigious society. 17 of them were merchants, 14 were plantation owners, 4 were physicians. There had 2 of them that were ministers, including John Witherspoon, who was also the president of Princeton University. Now, religion, there was 15 Episcopalians, 11 Congregationalists, 11 Presbyterians, ironically only 1 Catholic, and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin called themselves deists. And then as far as states, Pennsylvania had the most. They had 9 signers from Pennsylvania, 7 from Virginia, 5 from Massachusetts, and 5 from New Jersey. The oldest signer was Benjamin Franklin, who was 70 at the time. The youngest was Edward Rutledge of South Carolina, who was 26. Now, 17 of them served in the war. None of them got killed in combat. The only one that got killed was in a duel. His name was Button Gwinnett of Georgia. He got in a fight with one of his other fellow officers over strategy, and he lost out on that. Of the signers, 2 of them became presidents. That was John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, the second and third president. 3 of them became vice president, Adams, Jefferson, and a guy named Elbridge Gerry, who was Madison's vice president, and that's who has the term gerrymandering. I don't know if you've heard that term. I would be remiss. Oh, actually, 2 of them were fathers of presidents. John Adams was father of John Quincy Adams, our 6th president, and Benjamin Harrison of Virginia was the father of William Henry Harrison, who was our 9th president. And I guess I'd be remiss if I'm not speaking at the Naval Postgraduate School, not mentioning Joseph Hughes, H-E-W-E-S, of North Carolina. He was 1776. He was appointed the first Secretary of the Navy, and John Adams says he laid the foundation of the United States Navy. Speaking of Navy, there was also a Richard Stockton, whose son was Robert Stockton, Commodore Robert Stockton, who became the military governor of California, and they named the city of Stockton after him. One of the founding fathers, don't get the orange light here, was George Wythe of Virginia, and he's kind of famous. He was the first law professor in America, but he got poisoned after the Revolutionary War over inheritance kind of deal, and he was the subject of a famous murder trial. Well, skipping down to the, by the way, George Washington was not a signer. He was not a member of the Continental Congress. He was the appointed commander-in-chief, and he was with the soldiers in the field at the time this happened. Just to kind of wrap it up now as I get kind of close here on time, the appropriate conclusion might be that the 2 most famous signers are John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, and they ironically died on the exact same day, and it happened to be 4th of July of 1826. Now, Adams was 90 years old at the time. Help you with your estimates there. And the oldest signer that died was Charles Carroll of Maryland, who was 95. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
But you didn't answer the question. What was the average age?
It's 66 for the people that at death, and 44 at the time of signing. I told you it was going to be after this.
Man, I'm not sure.
Yeah.